I am Rick, and I will talk about some of our experience of co-development or co-creation of research methods, with examples from East and Southern Africa region of CCRP. There are many statements of principles of agroecology. Most include co-creation of knowledge, along with integration of multiple knowledge types. CCRP and RMS take a research approach to agroecology transition and practice, with research methods at their core. So, can the co-creation principle be used when it comes to development of methods? We're talking about engaging with farmers and partners who are not researchers in the development of research methods and approaches, not just in participating in the resulting research. Researchers develop methods all the time. Is there anything special about agroecology that deserves this attention to methods? Well, agroecology has characteristics that mean methods commonly used in agriculture and rural development need adapting, and this requires two things. First, relearning what we thought we knew. I wrote a piece on that in relation to experiments and why some of those things you learned as being important, like replication, controlling variation, and so on, may not be relevant now. Second, we may need to create or adapt some new methods, and that's what I want to talk about here. We've been doing that for a while and have earlier talked about some of the outcomes. I want to look at three recent examples from East and Southern Africa and what we have learned about the process, particularly the co-design aspect. In all of this work, we strive to follow principles for agroecology research methods, and these are also evolving. Another topic we could dig into, but not today. In the first case, we took an approach that is well known in some social sciences, but not commonly used in our area of work. Motivated by trying to understand more about how FRNs work rather than what they do, we explored methods that use participant observation. We ran a series of online workshops that included an expert, Alistair Sutherland, and project teams then developed plans to put the ideas into practice. The co-creation was through the involvement of NGO workers who don't have a research background. As an example of one result, the FRN NGO project team in Kenya, led by Daniel Nyambok, did a very interesting piece of research on communicating results with farmers and found important insights into interactions between literate and non-literate FRN members. We are working on a guide to the methods based on all those sessions. In the second example, we looked at a method for conducting agroecology assessments called TAPE that was developed and is being vigorously promoted by FAO. This started in a face-to-face workshop on agroecology principles and continued through online sessions with project teams looking at ways of implementing the tool. They decided that some sort of field workshop was needed, so we did that by working with the communities engaged with the cereals FRN in eastern Uganda. Thus, those communities were also engaged in the co-creation process. All this resulted in, for example, the Best Bets team doing an assessment that was inspired by TAPE, but went deeper into issues, but only on 5 out of 10 elements of agroecology. Participants in the process published a paper on what we learned, explaining how TAPE provides inspiration, but needs contextualization before it can be used in our sort of work. The third example is the most recent, and also involved a field workshop in which researchers and others in the COP worked with farmers to develop and test an approach to monitoring systems change. Again, we did a lot of groundwork in online sessions over 5 months before heading to a field workshop, this time hosted by the Drylands project team in Kenya. Already, we have seen Serial's FRN team put it to great use by creating a graphical version of what we developed. RMS has produced a guide to the process, writing up all the insights and conclusions from the blended online and field sessions. So, what have we learned about co-creation of methods? I'll summarize by using this infinity diagram that describes how information, ideas, and lessons are moved between local actors on the ground, in this case our CCRP project teams and the communities they work with, and the wider world of agroecology research and development. First, the positive lessons. It works. Co-creation by researchers, specialists, and others can generate new, relevant, and adaptive methods. There's clearly a demand to engage in methods co-development. The field components don't only bring in farmers' perspectives, they help give confidence to everyone, prompting project teams to further refine and use the methods themselves. Project teams members always have experience and insights that contribute, even when they don't describe themselves as researchers. The same is true of farmers and other community members. Many ideas tabled by researchers have been updated, improved, or made more applicable by farmers. On the right-hand side of this diagram, there are always sources of ideas to draw on in the literature, with never starting from scratch. And when it comes to sharing the results with the wider world, publication is not the only way. Our networks can be a useful channel. There are challenges, and some of these include the fact that research methods cannot be separated from the rest of project process and intertwined with farmer priorities, capacities, and motives. Motives are particularly important. Farmers with whom a project team already has a strong relationship of trust can be prepared to contribute to methods development, but others are likely to see it as a waste of their time. A challenge for us is getting feedback from project teams on what is working, as their interest is primarily in action on the ground. On the right-hand side, we confirm what many of you know, that preparing descriptions of co-developed methods for publication is hard work. And finally, there's always more. This process of co-development of methods is never finished because the research questions, the context, and the people involved keep on evolving as well.